Alright, hello. I am going to try to do a tutorial on how I would do a selector panel for numbers. Um, if you go to my workshop, you can find my part mod, and I also have a 7 segment display. And they're both pretty useful when making logic stuff. Well, I don't know how useful the 7 segment display can be. it's a little bit ridiculous. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to grab is a thing I call a loop gate, which is a modified part where it's a gate wired to itself. And it's got some functions that are useful or not. Like when it's on and, it doesn't do anything. When it's on or, it'll turn on if it gets a signal, and it'll stay on forever, and it won't turn off until you put it on the lift. And when it's on XOR, it'll flip-flop if you send a 1-tick pulse to it, or if you just leave the signal to it, it'll keep blinking forever. And then there's some more functions that are in the opposite. So I'm going to load this. I'm going to set it to XOR. And let's see, the first thing I'm going to do is make a D latch, which is a data latch, where I put 2 gates on. The middle one will be an AND gate, and the outside one will be another XOR. So we go the XOR to the AND to the loop gate XOR, and then this loops back to the first XOR. So now we have a data latch. So depending on what the input of this XOR is, when we send a 1-tick pulse to the clock, it will decide whether if the bit should flip or not. So if you put a NOR gate and an AND gate, you wire those together, and then you put a button that's wired to both of them, this will emit a 1-tick pulse every time you press the button. So right now the input is off, so this XOR is it's off, and this is off, so the input and the bit XOR are both off. So this is off, and it doesn't want to change. But if you turn one on, now it'll say, hey, this AND gate will, when it gets 1-tick pulse, will output to the XOR, and it'll flip it. And now that it's flipped, it's telling this to turn off, because they're both on. So it's not gonna flip again if I hit the clock. So it'll the bit will always match what this switch is doing. So if I turn this off again, it's gonna say, hey, you should switch it, and it switches. And it's not gonna switch again until you switch it. It's like, hey, I want to switch, flip, and there we go. Anyway, so that's 1 bit of a selector, and I'm just going to make a whole bunch of those. Let's copy this as D flip flop 1. And I'm going to go ahead and make another one. Let's make this a little bit different. Let's add an OR gate so we can get an input on there. And let's copy this. So this is going to be, what was this? D flip flop 1, yeah. Right. So we take this and we're going to duplicate it. Weld it. Let's just whatever. And I'm gonna make, instead of doing binary, I'm gonna just do a straight up selector. So it's only just gonna choose one at a time, for simplicity's sake. So I'm gonna need 10 of these. Yeah. All right. And then I'm going to do some interesting things. First of all, I'm going to make that one-tick generator again, putting the AND gate on the end here so it's easy to line up with the rest of the AND gates. And I'm going to put a NOR gate here, connected there. And then I'm going to have the input of that one-tick generator as an OR gate. So I'm going to have that OR gate wired to the NOR and that AND gate. So now this AND gate has to go to each one of these 10 inputs, or AND gates. I normally call this the clock when I'm referring to the name of the gate. So I have the output, the clock, and the data. And then I just have an OR gate going to each one of these. So now I want, when any of these when any of these OR gates are activated, I want it to trigger that one-tick generator. So I'm going to have each of these go to the end here. Right. And then let's wire up the numbers. Oh, I suppose I need to connect this to the buttons now. All right. So let's start with 0 at the bottom. Or, whatever. 0, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so now, theoretically, when I press a button, it should send a signal to the OR gate, and as long as I'm holding the button, it'll be turning this little XOR on, and that OR gate also sends a signal to the 1-tick pulse generator, which sends a signal to all of these. So when I press a button like 3, it'll say, hey, I want to activate this one. But also, when I press another button, you'll notice that 3 turns off, because this 1-tick pulse generator sends the tick to all of the gates, and all of the other buttons are not being pressed, so any of those will turn off if another one is pressed. So now we can press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. You have all your outputs right there. Well, that was easy. Or was it? Anyway, that's how I do it. You have the buttons going to your OR gates, going to the 1-tick generator, and your D flip-flops. And it just all works. And it doesn't matter how long you press buttons, it just does what you tell it. There's no risk of blinky lights if you do it right. Alright, thanks for watching.